Okay. What the kids do? My daughter gonna cringe when she see me do that. But whatever. So 9 years later, I got was it 9 years later? 8 years later or 9 years later I got pregnant with Zuri. Either way, my kids have a 9-year age gap. So with Zuri, I worked up until I was working up until 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks before I was having her, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna, get my nesting done because I was working so much. It's like I'm gonna get my nesting done. I'm gonna do some laundry and all that. So it was like 8 a.m. and I'm laying in the bed and I'm scrolling on Instagram, and I just hear a pop and a explosion of water. So I'm like, oh my God, my water just broke. Okay, so I'm laying in the bed and my water just broke. Yeah, that's happening right now. I'm freaking out. And with Holly, my water didn't break. They popped it for me. So I'm like, this is different. I don't know what to do. And my man was on his way to work. So I called him. I'm like, my water just broke. You might want to come back home. So I'm like, after I got off the phone with him, I'm like, I called my mom because I'm still leaking and I don't know what to do at this point. So she's like, just take a shower, get dressed, put on a pad, and you'll be fine. So I did that. I get dressed. He comes home. I want to say I feel like I had a banana or something just to have something on my stomach, because at this point I'm nervous, I'm anxious, I don't really want to eat, but I know I need to eat something because they're not going to let me eat all day. But I don't want a heavy meal like I did the first time. I learned my lesson. So I had a banana and we just headed up to the hospital, but I wasn't really contracting like that. I was having what felt like Braxton Hicks contractions, which at that point I've had a whole natural birth that didn't feel anywhere near as bad as the first one. So I'm like, I'm fine, I'm not even having any contractions. So I get to the hospital and I'm like, oh yeah, and this was 2 weeks before she was due. She's supposed to be a Cinco de Mayo baby, but she was born April 25th. And I'm like, my water just broke. And when you get there, them nurses be looking at you crazy, like you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, we had plenty of women who done came in here and peed on themselves and think they water broke. I'm like, no ma'am, my water broke, I promise you. So they get in, they check me, they're like, yep, well, you're in labor. So I was complaining about still being pregnant yesterday, and I guess Mrs. Zuri Rose heard that, and now I'm in labor. And they're having to check my cervix, but for some reason my cervix was tilted or something like that. So then they had to, it was just such a painful process. I feel like the cervix check was the most painful thing. So they're trying to prop my butt up under a pan to try to, it was just horrible. So they did that, and at that point I was 3 centimeters, I want to say, by the time I got to the hospital. And then of course they hook you up to all the little monitors, check your heart rate, check the baby heart rate and all that stuff. So they're saying that the baby's heart rate was dropping a little bit, depending on which side I was turned on, her heart rate was dropping a bit. So they let me labor a while longer, and it was they wanted to give me Pitocin, but obviously I already experienced Pitocin and I don't want nothing to do with Pitocin again, because I don't care what they say. That Pitocin makes labor 100 times worse. They can say, oh no, it's the same. No, it's not, because I was having contractions that were more than manageable when I got there, and then they were trying to give me their Pitocin, which I declined, and somehow they still ended up talking me into getting the Pitocin. So I got the Pitocin. Of course my contractions picked up. Okay, they gave me the good drugs. I feel great. I don't get what's the point of drugs if you still feel so good. That don't make sense. I'm just high in the pain at this point. That's the only other one I guess their whole thought was if they could speed along my labor, then they could get the baby out with they could get the baby out without me having to have a C-section. So they were trying to speed up the labor, but once my contractions got stronger, her heart rate started dropping more. So then they were like, okay, well, we're gonna have to do an emergency C-section. I'm like, at this point, whatever, let's just get this baby here safely. Like, so they set me up to get ready to do the C-section, which at this point they have to do like the whole spinal tap and everything like that, or a spinal block, or I don't know what they gave me, if they gave me epidural or if they gave me a spinal block, because I had neither with my first child. So I just know they was putting a long needle in my back, and they didn't have my man in there at the time that they were doing this. So I'm like, where's he at? Like, freaking out, like, is he coming? Where's he at? I need him in here. And I guess they don't bring him in there till after they get you all set up with the medicine and behind the curtain and everything like that. So I just had the nurse to rely on. I was holding her like I had known her all my life. So they gave me the shot, which that wasn't even bad to me, in the back. Obviously I couldn't feel anything. He comes in, they got him all suited and booted with his face mask and everything on, or his head. You know what they get him in when you have a C-section. And he was suited up like he was a doctor. So he comes in, they make sure I can't feel anything, and then I guess they proceed to do the C-section. The doctor, he like holds the baby up over the curtain, and she's like slippery. He like almost drops her, and I'm like, but then they like show me her, but it was just so anticlimactic that it was like, this is it. Oh, okay. Like, and they just, of course, just sit there alongside me. They took pictures, and I'm sitting there looking so stupid. I don't know why. It was just like, I guess because it was such a different experience. And with the first one, it was like, oh, I labored for so long, and I push, and here she is. It's like a glorious moment. And this one was just like it just was, I don't know, it was uneventful. But I mean, nonetheless, I was happy that she was there. So of course, they sewed me back up. Zuri was like 7 pounds, 4.8 ounces. And she was born 2 weeks early. So had she been went the full 2 weeks, she probably would have been just as big as Holly or bigger, no telling. But so they sewed me up, they took me to the recovery, and I did not breastfeed with Holly, but I breastfed with Zuri, so they latched her. Well, let's just see it, guys. Sucking on the tip. This little girl ain't sucking no milk. She basically just using me as a human pacifier at this point. And as soon as I snatch her off, she gonna start crying. But she's sweet. And luckily I had done a lot of research and joined a lot of like breastfeeding moms groups, black breastfeeding moms groups, and learned a lot before I came, because they didn't have a lactation consultant there, a lactation specialist there. So I mean, they had one of the nurses like show me how to latch her and stuff like that, but I just feel like if I hadn't done my research, I would have been completely lost and probably ended up just formula feeding her. But luckily I was knowledgeable. So basically that was Zuri's birth. Like, I had her, it was like 6 something and not 6:22, I want to say Zuri was born. By the time everything was all said and done, of course the kitchen was closed, so I couldn't even get anything to eat. Luckily I had like some Ritz chips or in my hospital bag, so I had something to eat. That I killed that whole bag because I was hungry. I hadn't eaten all day, but a banana was only half of a banana actually. And then that was pretty much that. Then we had Zuri. We were so exhausted that night. Like, obviously this was my man's first child, so he didn't really know fully what to expect, but he was definitely my rock through the whole thing. He stayed calm, cool, and collected. He was exhausted because he stayed up with me, of course, helping with the baby, because I couldn't get her in and out the bassinet. I couldn't change her. I couldn't move. Popping action. Very pooped and peed. She got all cleaned up after he used 50 wipes. And she pooped again. Look at him being a good papa. And Zuri just over there just fussing. Just a fussing. Hopefully she don't go again. That'll just be too much now. He thorough. So, we all stayed in the hospital. Me, Holly, Josh, we all was in the hospital. And then we brought her home, and that was that. Now, I'm currently 37 weeks pregnant with baby boy Laster. And I don't know if he's gonna come early or not. Everybody doesn't think I'm gonna make it to the 10th. My due date is the 14th, which is actually our first date anniversary, which I really wanted to have him on the 14th because I thought that would be so cute. But at this point, I don't care. Let's just get this baby here happy and healthy. So I just planned a C-section. I was kind of nervous about doing VBAC, honestly, just because I know stuff can go wrong, and which stuff can go wrong with a C-section too, but I was like, I've experienced a vaginal birth, I've experienced a C-section. Both of them suck, both of them hurt. There's recovery after both because I had so many stitches with Holly. I had stitches in my stomach with Zuri, so it was like they both suck. At least I don't have to labor with one of them. At least I don't have to like bleed as long with one of them. So we're just on baby countdown. We got 11 days. I just need for my sister to get here because obviously with COVID and everything going on, I won't be able to take the girls to the hospital, which really sucks because I want them to meet their brother right away, which they won't be able to. I have to like FaceTime or something like that, which really sucks. But I'm ready. I'm big. I'm out of breath. This is my last pregnancy. I'm not doing this no more. I got my 2 girls and my boy, and I'm done. But those were my 2 birth stories. Just pray for me with this next baby, y'all. I'm gonna need all the prayers. I'm nervous. I know I've done this before, but I haven't had a boy. I've been looking up stuff on the internet as far as like what do you call it when they get the Peter Walker snipped, as far as circumcision. Oh my God, don't look up stuff about circumcision. Like the tools that they use look medieval. They strap your baby down. Like, I'm not at all ready for that, but I don't got a choice but to get ready at this point. So if y'all have any words of encouragement, any tips on having a boy, because I'm a girl mom, I don't know nothing about not having no baby boys. I mean, I got a bunch of nephews, but that's different. I watched them once they got a little bit bigger. They weren't newborns when I had them. So if y'all got any tips, any words of encouragement, please give them to me. And always don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.